Capitalism and the fear of big governments. From the previous lecture, we realized that capitalism is steeped in the need to recognize and allow people to retain their individual rights, without threats or control from the government or a centralized authority. This means that the government has some specific functions and activities that they must be focused on. This includes: Number 1, raising taxes to execute projects in public interest that the private sector cannot do. Number 2, print money. Number 3, raise a military for the common defense of the territory. Number 4, uphold law and order, without determining the moral code for the people. Number 5, build critical infrastructure. Number 6, regulate businesses to prevent monopoly and oligopoly. These are a few core functions that the government must do to safeguard the Commonwealth. These are things that prevent anarchy and disorder. They create the vital parameters within which the state can function and enable its citizens to pursue their goals and aspirations. The capitalist view is that the government must only do the most vital things that are necessary for the functioning of a modern state. Anything that is beyond the necessary that the government attempts to do is illegal. Such things must be handed down to the private sector, individuals, or similar entities like charities to handle them. On the other hand, a centralized state is one that has powers beyond the most basic. The centralized state veers into morality and other regulations that can be executed by the private sector. In this process, the centralized state gets to a position where they think for the people and make policies that limit the rights of the citizens. Capitalists argue that the individual's right to decide and choose in some of these moral and general areas must be protected by law in order to prevent the government from acting out of the powers they are guaranteed in a truly free nation. Centralized governments, or big states, use various direct, indirect, and manipulative methods to coerce the people to do things that they want. According to capitalists, such acts are wrong and illegal. Therefore, a legitimate government will have to move to guarantee the rights of individual citizens to pursue their desires and goals without any limitation. A government that goes beyond its basic obligatory framework is called a big government, which the capitalists view as a threat to individual freedom, democracy, and a danger to economic growth and development. Milton Friedman argues that the only way to limit a government from becoming dangerously big is to have a free market system. This is a system where products can be exchanged on the basis of choice, where prices will be determined by the forces of demand and supply. In other words, when the government is barred from intervening to set prices, people's choice will drive what they choose and their individual freedoms will be guaranteed in an absolute sense. This way, the forces of demand and supply will interact, and the products that are in high demand will be more expensive, while those with lower demand will be inclined to be cheaper. Those in abundant supply will be cheaper, while those whose supply is scarce will become more expensive. Through this, prices are fixed by the choices, emotions, and sentiments of the consumer. Furthermore, the consumer is seen as a rational consumer who determines things on the basis of their true needs. And through this method, the true value and true worth of products can be ascertained without government manipulation. Another important aspect of the free market is that it will demand voluntary participation. As such, no one is forced or coerced to produce. And as such a system exists, people are encouraged to become productive, and people who produce things that are in demand are rewarded with profits. A landmark feature of the free markets is that it comes with free entry and free exit. That means anyone can produce things and sell them. This is the truest way of determining freedom rather than using government policy, which cannot be relied to be fair at all times. This is because every price on a free market is fixed by the forces of demand and supply. This means what is very much needed is going to be more expensive than what is not in need. A better product will be more expensive than a basic version with no special features. The free market promotes innovation and inventions. This is because people constantly think of how to add value to their products in order to attract higher prices for the product. This was the main factor that boosted the growth of the American economy between 1960 and 1990. Everyone sought to find something they could do that would solve problems for others. Once they found it, they continuously improved their products and expanded their scope. This increased the level of consumption in the U.S. economy, and in turn made most Americans wealthy at the height of the Cold War. What this means is that anyone can create products without limitations. As long as your product is loved by someone and they are ready to pay money for it, you are free to sell it. This is why capitalism allows musicians who use the worst lyrics imaginable to sell their products without censorship or restriction. As long as people are willing to buy those songs, they are free to sell them. This is the power of the free market, which trumps a big government that would rush to regulate and limit any product or service on the market. The key features of the free market are: Number 1. It involves trade regulated by consenting parties who exchange goods in arm's-length transactions. Number 2. There is a voluntary nature of transactions in a free market economy. Number 3. Any interference by the government to limit any product without a clear and demonstrable damage to the society is rendered illegal by the free market. In a nutshell, capitalists' argument against the big government is that it breeds waste and inefficient. As Milton Friedman famously said on many platforms, government lacks the ability to spend money efficiently because it did not work for the money. This fundamental principle asserts that a person or entity that raises money through the free markets can spend it in the best way possible. Therefore, competitive capitalism, based on free markets that are free of external political influence from the government or a central authority, allows everyone to participate in trade without discrimination. This means that the weak, powerless, disenfranchised, and minorities in a society can participate on the free markets and gain economic power, which can be used as a counterbalance to the political power of the political class. Hence, economic freedom from capitalism is the greatest way of guaranteeing freedom for what people want to become. And this is achieved through the free market, which allows anyone and everyone to engage in the power structures of society without reservation or limitation.